I stood at the edge of Maplewood Park, the wind teasing my hair around my face, and I noticed the vibrant hues of autumn leaves swirling in the crisp air. The park was usually buzzing with life, families laughing and children playing, but today was different. It felt like the calm before the storm. I could almost hear the whisper of secrets hidden beneath the soft crunch of leaves underfoot. I glanced at the clock tower in the distance, its hands inching toward 5, and my heart raced with each tick, sounding a countdown for the change that was about to come. "You ready for this, Claire?" I whispered to myself, although I could hardly believe it. It was time to face those who had wronged me and the scars they'd left behind. As I took a deep breath, I could almost taste the bitterness of the betrayal. The memory flooded back to me. Just a year earlier, everything had been perfect. The laughter, the plans for the future, the group of friends who felt like family. That was until they had chosen to betray me. I could still see their faces, especially Emily, my closest friend who had turned into a stranger the moment I needed her the most. "Hey Clara, you coming or what?" A familiar voice tugged at me from behind. It was Liam, my younger brother, a kid with a mop of dark curls and an innocent smile that always managed to pull me back from the edge of my darker thoughts. I forced a smile, straightening my back as I turned to him. "Yeah, I'm coming, just contemplating life, you know," I replied, trying to keep my tone light even if my heart was burdened with vengeance. "Contemplating what? How to plot world domination," he quipped, chuckling as he jogged up beside me. He had this way of making everything feel better, even when shadows of the past loomed over me. "Something like that," I shot back, unable to suppress a small grin. There was something about his carefree spirit that made it easier to breathe. While he kicked at a pile of leaves, sending them flying into the air, I felt the weight of my plan pressing down on me. "You know, Clara, you've been acting a bit different lately. Is everything okay?" His gaze was sincere, the kind that made you feel safe. "Just some stuff I'm working through, Lee," I replied, trying to dismiss his concern with a nonchalant shrug. In truth, everything was far from okay. My world had spun upside down, and the warmth I had once felt toward my so-called friends had morphed into a cold lump of betrayal lodged in my chest. I couldn't shake the memories of that day when the betrayal had unfolded like a horrible dream. I had walked into my own home, expecting laughter and celebration, only to find Emily wrapped in Tyler's arms, my ex-boyfriend. "Clara, you're home early," she had exclaimed. The look on her face was a mix of surprise and guilt that had been etched into my mind. "Why are you hugging Tyler?" I had managed to choke out, barely able to wrap my mind around the situation. Their eyes met, and in that brief moment, the laughter that filled the room vanished like smoke. "It's not what it looks like," Tyler had stammered, stepping away from her as if she had burned him. But I could clearly see the truth lurking behind their guilty expressions. "Maybe you should tell me what it looks like then," I had muttered, my voice barely above a whisper. I remembered the pain that shot through me like a dagger, poisoning every good memory I had of them. The lies, the sweet words I had believed, transformed into venomous barbs that still stung to this day. "Clara, I swear nothing happened," Emily had insisted, her eyes wide with desperation. But the truth was, something had happened, far more than I could bear. "I can't believe you would do this to me," I had said, the devastation curling my fingers into fists. The raw hurt surged back into my chest now, squeezing as I recalled that moment. I had closed the door behind me and fled, leaving the laughter and the betrayal simmering behind me like a foul pot. And now here I was, about to turn that pain into empowerment. "What are you thinking about?" Liam interrupted the past, pulling me back into the present. "Oh, just how much I hate that the fall colors are so beautiful when everything else feels so wrong," I replied, focusing on the kaleidoscope of oranges and reds that brightened the otherwise dreary day. "You know, you should join us at the pumpkin patch," Liam suggested. A fleeting hint of warmth crawled into my heart at the idea. Coming together, sharing laughter amidst a sea of pumpkins sounds nice, but I knew it wouldn't fulfill the lingering void created by my friend's betrayal. "Nah, I think I'll pass." "Got some things to take care of," I said, sensing his unasked question lingering in the air. "You mean revenge?" he teased, nudging my shoulder with a mischievous grin, but my smile faltered and a lump formed in my throat. How could I explain to him that I was on the verge of turning my sorrow into something he wouldn't understand? "What if I told you I am planning something?" I said instead, my voice low, almost conspiratorial. Liam stopped walking, a curious glint sparkling in his eyes. "Plan? You mean like a prank?" he asked, bouncing on his feet eagerly like the little brother he was. I considered my words carefully. "More like a way to confront some truths," I replied, trying to mask my intentions. I didn't want to drag him into my chaos. He was innocent in all of this, and keeping him safe felt like a priority. "Sounds mysterious. Can I help?" he pressed, his enthusiasm unwavering. "Nah, it's really just something I need to handle myself." I smiled softly, ruffling his hair affectionately. But deep down, I was already mapping out my moves, turning the pain into a strategy that would be both thrilling and just enough to ensure that they understood the weight of their betrayal. "All right, but if you need backup, I'm here," he insisted. "I want to be part of your adventures." "Adventure might be a little heavy," I laughed, forcing it as I looked out toward the setting sun, casting an orange glow on Maplewood Park. "But I appreciate it, Lee." An itch of tension settled in my stomach as I observed the park, where families strolled past, unaware of the storm brewing in my heart. Everything was calm outside, but beneath the surface I felt like a thunderstorm was rolling in, darkening the skies. I could envision all the things I wanted to say to Emily and Tyler, the confrontation where I would finally unleash the fury tucked away for so long. As the sun dipped lower, casting shadows, I shivered, not just from the cold but from the anticipation of what was to come. I had rehearsed this moment in my mind 1,000 times, and I was ready to unleash the truths no one wanted to face. "You okay?" Liam's voice broke through my thoughts. "You look like you just saw a ghost," he said, concern lacing his tone. "I'm okay. Actually, I'm more than okay." I fake smiled, trying my hardest to project confidence. "I'm ready to change things around here. I believe it. I know the real Clara is in there somewhere, waiting to break free," he said, his belief in me like a tether, pulling me back from the brink of despair. I parted my lips to respond, but the words caught in my throat. What I wanted to say didn't fit with the kind of reassurance he deserved. Instead, I shoved my hands into my pockets, gazing out over the park, determination swelling within me. "Let's head back home," I said finally, the sun setting behind me, shadows lengthening as the evening approached. The night was coming, and with it, everything inside me began to stir. With each step I took away from the park, I felt my heart drum louder in my chest, a fiery declaration echoing in my mind. My time would come, and it would be glorious. I stood there in my bedroom, the walls around me feeling like they were closing in, the tension tangling in my stomach like a knot I could not unravel. The afternoon sun streamed through my window, illuminating the chaos that had become my life since that fateful night when everything changed. My phone lay on the bed, buzzing insistently, a reminder that the world outside continued to spin even as mine had ground to a halt. I glanced at it lazily, knowing who it would be. "Sam." I hesitated, my heart thudding in my chest, but finally I snatched it up and pressed the button that connected us. "Hello." I answered, trying to sound casual, even though inside I was a whirlwind of emotions. "Clara, it's Sam. Thank God you picked up. I was worried sick about you. You haven't been answering texts. Are you okay? I mean mentally okay?" Sam's voice was a mix of concern and urgency, the kind of voice that made you feel like you were being hugged from a distance. "I'm fine," I lied, my voice barely a whisper. I could hear the doubt in my own words, and I feared it would seep through the phone. The truth was, I felt anything but fine. The betrayal from Lucy and Tyler was like a dark cloud hanging over me, one that dulled the sun and made my thoughts heavy. "You don't sound fine, Clara. What happened last night? I saw you leave the party with Lucy and then you just vanished." "We were all looking for you," Sam pressed on, his voice gentle yet persistent. I clenched my hand into a fist, my nails digging into my skin, a physical reminder to stay calm. "Nothing happened. I needed to be alone, all right," I snapped, feeling defensive. I did not want to relive it. The way Lucy had laughed when Tyler had flirted with her right in front of me was burned into my mind. The way my heart had shattered when I realized my best friends were not who I thought they were. "Clara, come on, just talk to me. You can't bottle this stuff up." I know it's hard, but we're your friends. You have us," Sam coaxed, always the one trying to coax me out of my shell. I wished I could tell him everything, wished I could unload this burden that had fallen upon me like a leaden weight. With a heavy breath, I made up my mind. If I was going to take matters into my own hands, I needed allies. "Okay, Sam, meet me at the corner cafe in an hour. We need to talk," I replied, my voice firmer now as the spark of a plan stirred in my mind. "Absolutely, I will be there." "I have a feeling you need a good cup of coffee," he said, his enthusiasm infectious even in my fragile state. After hanging up, a rush of determination surged through me. Gathering my things, I pulled on a worn pair of jeans and a loose sweater, my reflection staring back at me from the mirror, eyes slightly puffy and hair in disarray. I sighed, forcing back the emotions that threatened to spill over. Today was not the day to allow sadness to overshadow my resolve. As I made my way to the corner cafe, my thoughts raced. I needed a plan, and quickly. What had become of the love I thought I had? The trust I shared with Lucy and Tyler shattered like glass, piercing me in ways I had not anticipated. The cafe was warm and inviting, the rich scent of roasted beans greeting me as I stepped inside. The chatter of friends' laughter and the clinking of ceramic mugs created a cozy ambience, but my heart felt heavy as I spotted Sam at our usual table. When he caught sight of me, a wide grin broke out on his face, illuminating his features. "Clara, over here," he called, waving wildly like a child, making me chuckle despite myself. As I sat down, I noticed the bright blue envelope on the table and my brow creased in confusion. "What's that?" I asked, gesturing towards it. "I found it on my doorstep this morning. It was addressed to you. Thought it might lighten your mood," he said, his voice brimming with playful excitement. Curious, I picked up the envelope, feeling its smooth texture beneath my fingers. It was heavier than I had expected. Clara Bennett was written neatly in a cursive font, but there was no return address. I ripped it open with a mix of caution and anticipation, pulling out a single piece of paper. "Clara, the night revealed everything. The truth has a way of escaping, doesn't it? Watch closely. Things are not always as they seem. Your path will be clear soon. Until then, keep your friends close and your enemies closer." I blinked, confusion washing over me like cold water. "What is this, Sam? Is it a joke?" His brow furrowed as he leaned closer to read the note, his lips pursed in thought. "No idea. Who would send you something like this?" "I have no clue, but it sounds ominous," I replied, my mind racing. The note was a riddle disguised as a message, but it left an unsettling weight in my stomach. What do they mean by "watch closely"? "Sounds like someone might know what happened at the party. Is there anyone who might want to mess with you?" he asked, his tone serious now. I frowned, considering the possibilities. It felt impossible that anyone else knew about Lucy and Tyler, but then again, nothing about this situation felt normal. "Well, we know Lucy and Tyler are out of the picture as friends. They can't be trusted." But let's think, I said, leaning back in my seat as I combed through my memories, all the while glancing at the note, my fingers drumming on the table. What about that girl who was flirting with Tyler at the party, Candace? She seemed off, always looking over at you, Sam suggested, his eyes narrowing in thought. A flash of irritation sparked within me. Oh, of course, she would be the one lingering in the background, but it wasn't like he was in a committed relationship. As if anyone cared about that, I scoffed, but even as I said the words, doubt crept in. But what if she knew about you and Tyler? What if she's trying to pit you against each other? He continued, watching as my mind churned with the possibilities. I felt a thrill of anger welled up, fueling my determination. Then I will show them how wrong they are. I will not stand idly by while they think they can ruin my life. That's the spirit, but what are you planning? Sam asked, a playful glint in his eyes. A wicked smile crept onto my lips and I leaned forward, the heat of anger transforming into something else, something fierce. I think it's time I take control, Sam. It is time for them to see what happens when you betray someone. You cannot just walk away from this without consequences. His eyes widened, a mix of excitement and caution gleaming. Clara, what are you thinking? Revenge can lead you down a dark path, you know. I have thought about that, I confessed. Each word in me felt sharp, every syllable like a dagger eager to plunge into flesh. But this isn't just about getting back at them, it is about taking back my life. You really want to do this? He asked, his voice steadier than mine, yet I could see the internal struggle in his eyes. I took a deep breath, feeling the rush of resolve wash over me. I do, Sam, but I need you on my side. This isn't going to work without a plan, they won't see it coming. But I swear to you, I will dig deep and I will fight back. He nodded slowly, unwavering. All right, I'm with you, just promise me don't lose yourself in this. There are consequences to every action. I promise, I said, though the weight of my promise felt heavier than I anticipated. The cafe buzzed around us as we began to strategize, a dynamic brew of our thoughts intermingling over clattering mugs and soft laughter. My heart raced in my chest, but it was less from fear and more from the electricity coursing through my veins. A new game had begun and I would not be an easy target. The note swirled in my mind as a challenge, a whisper of shadows that beckoned behind me. I stood on the precipice, the wind of my choices blowing around me, and for the first time I didn't just feel like a victim. I felt like a force to be reckoned with. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, a flickering bulb above my head casting shadows across my face as I traced my fingers over the bruises that still lingered on my skin, the remnants of the fight with my past. Every small mark reminded me of the sleepless nights I spent planning my revenge against Noah, my childhood friend turned backstabber. He had stolen everything I held dear, and now it was time for me to execute my plan. I took a deep breath and turned away from the mirror, the cold tile beneath my feet grounding me, reminding me of the anger simmering just below the surface. I slid my phone out of my pocket and stared at the screen, the text from Jenna still lingering like a bad aftertaste. Clara, we need to talk. I don't think you fully understand what you're getting into. She was worried about me, I could tell, but she didn't understand. You don't know him like I do, I muttered under my breath, my voice barely above a whisper as I scrolled through my contacts until I found his name, Noah Thompson. Slowly my finger hovered over the little icon. Should I call him? No, that would be too easy. I wanted to draw out his panic, to give him a taste of the dread I've been swallowing for months. I moved around the apartment, each step a reminder of what I had to do. The small kitchen was cluttered, dishes piled high, but I was too focused on the task at hand to care. I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge and gulped down some cold liquid, the chill refreshing yet not enough to quench the fire burning within me. My heart raced as I paced back into the living room where I had left my notebook on the coffee table. It was full of sketches and plans, all of my thoughts spilled out onto the pages, each one a hateful tribute to the betrayal. I sat on the worn-out couch, my fingers flipping through the pages, each scribbled notion sharp enough to cut. End it on your own throne, I whispered to the empty room, trying to sound brave even as doubt clouded my mind. When I reached the page where I had written down my countdown, my stomach twisted. It read 7 days until revenge. I couldn't waste any more time. I'll show him, I said to myself, lifting my chin, the taste of steel in my mouth. It was clear that he hadn't learned the consequences of his actions. I slid my notebook back onto the table and grabbed my phone again, this time typing a quick message. I know what you did. Meet me at the old park behind the swings tonight at 8. I pressed send and felt a surge of adrenaline. This was it. The time for games was over. I could almost hear the clock ticking, each second a reminder of the excitement mixed with fear bubbling in my chest. I felt a strange thrill coursing through me, a cocktail of anger and anticipation. I swiped my hair back, trying to control the wild curls that framed my face. I was no longer the timid girl Noah had bullied. I was fierce, a force of nature. The sun hung low in the sky as the clock struck 6, and I decided to take a stroll to the park to plan out my words, forcing myself through the thickening tension in my throat that tried to hold me back. I needed to think clear, to weigh my words carefully. As I walked towards the park, the fading light painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, each step pushing me closer to the confrontation I had both dreaded and craved. I passed the corner store where we used to buy candy, the sweet smell of chocolate wafting through the air, but it only made my resolve stronger. I caught my reflection in the glass and reminded myself that I was in control. I was not a victim, I was the predator. The park came into view, a familiar place now accentuated by the looming shadows of trees. I crossed the small bridge that led to the swings, memories flooding my mind. Laughter from our past echoed like ghosts, but the images faded as I stepped towards the meeting point. The swings creaked in the wind as I approached, shifting slightly just like my emotions. I pulled my phone out again, anxiously checking the time. It was 7:30, and I did not want to appear weak by showing how nervous I truly felt. Noah was predictable, and he would be here. The minutes crawled by, each tick on my watch echoing like a drumbeat, propelling me towards the inevitable confrontation. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps broke the stillness, and my heart raced as I saw Noah's familiar silhouette emerging from the shadows. He looked a little taller than I remembered, his dark hair slightly tousled, a confident smile plastered on his face that transformed to confusion when he spotted me. "Clara, what's going on?" "You wanted to talk." His voice dripped with the same charm he always wielded, but beneath that I sensed a hint of wariness. My heart leaped at the sight of it. "You know exactly why I'm here, Noah." I crossed my arms, plus trying to embody strength, but the tremor in my hands belied me. "I think it's time to get everything out in the open." He took a step closer, his brow furrowing. "What do you mean, you're scaring me? I thought we were past this." I scoffed, trying to mask my sudden frustration with bravado. "Past what? You think you can just erase the way you hurt me, the way you turned your back on me, just because we grew up together does not give you the right to betray me, Noah." His expression faltered, the smile slipping from his lips. "Clara, I didn't mean for things to turn out this way. I was young and stupid." I thought. I cut him off, my voice rising. "You thought what?" "That it was fine to crush me, to leave me standing alone while you took everything away." The shadows grew longer around us, and the weight of my words hung heavily in the air. For a brief moment, silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. I could hear my heart pounding, a relentless reminder that I was about to confront the pain that had been gnawing at me endlessly. "I know I messed up," Noah finally said, his tone lowered, almost pleading. "But I have changed, Clara, I know that now. I want to fix this, I do." The sincerity in his voice chipped at my resolve, but the anger surged back, stronger than before. "You can't fix what's broken, you can't undo the hurt. You think apologizing will erase the years of pain? No." My words lashed out, sharp and cold, slicing through the air. "You're wrong." His shoulders slumped, and for the first time I saw the vulnerability in his eyes. "So what do you want from me? Is this just to hurt me?" "Oh, it's not just to hurt you," I said, deliberately slow, making sure that he understood the weight of each word. "I want you to feel what I felt, to live with the burden of knowing what you took from me. I want you to understand that there are consequences for betrayal." I took a step closer, my palms clammy but my resolve unwavering. "So you think you can scare me into submission? I'm not afraid of you, Clara." He tried to challenge me, but I saw the flicker of doubt in his eyes. "You should be," I replied with an edge in my tone, my voice low and steady. "You have no idea what I am capable of. You think I'm still the girl who idolized you." In a moment of silence, I felt the weight of every hurt wash over me, and I leaned into the rise of my voice, embracing the anger. "What's going to happen tonight is something you will always remember." The tension thickened as I stood before him, unyielding. Noah's gaze hardened, and I could see a conflict playing behind his eyes, a battle between recognition and the comfort of his past insouciance. "What does that mean?" His voice faltered, a note of panic creeping in. "What do you want?" I smiled, a smile that promised nothing but chaos. "You want to know? You will find out soon enough," I said, stepping back, allowing the shadows of the darkening night to engulf me. I had made my choice, his time was up, and my moment of reckoning was just beginning. No longer would I be just Clara Bennett. I would become the storm that finally brought the waves crashing down on his carefully built walls. I turned away, the noises of the park fading as I walked into the night, leaving Noah with the weight of his own uncertainty. My revenge would soon culminate, and I could almost taste the bittersweet victory that lay ahead. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the familiar streets of Maplewood. As I stood outside the old, abandoned warehouse on the east side of town, my heart raced with anticipation and trepidation. This was it, the final piece of the puzzle. I could almost feel the weight of the air pressing down on me, thick with the smell of rust and decay. This place held memories, buried secrets, and most importantly, the key to my plan unfolding. The warehouse had been a lifeline for us as kids, a hushed sanctuary where we shared our dreams, but now it felt like a tomb of betrayal. I glanced at my phone, the screen displaying an unread message from Jacob, my once best friend turned bitter enemy. "We need to talk," it read. My fingers trembled as I typed a reply, knowing I was moments away from facing him yet again. Just then a familiar voice broke the silence, echoing through the worn, cracked walls. "Clara, is that you?" Jacob called out, his tone a mix of surprise and delight, but I could hear the underlying tension. "I didn't think you would show up." Stepped inside, the sunlight barely filtering through the grime-covered windows, casting a haunting glow. "You were wrong about that, Jacob," I said, my voice steady, betraying none of the chaos swirling inside me. "I'm here to settle things." He emerged from the shadows, his silhouette tall and imposing, yet something flickered in his eyes, a spark of vulnerability perhaps. "Settle? What's there to settle? You're really going to let all this get to you?" "Oh, trust me," I replied, the bitterness rising in my throat. "You have no idea how deep this goes." I crossed my arms, forcing him to see the resolve etched on my face. I had spent months preparing for this moment, reliving every betrayal, every moment of laughter that had turned into a dagger in my back. "What do you mean?" He stepped closer, and I could smell the faint hint of cigarettes and something earthy. For a second, the memory surged, a time when he was my confidant, but then the darkness wrapped around me again. "Clara, don't do this." His voice dropped to a whisper, a plea that tugged at my heart. Don't do what? Confront you, expose you. I spat the words with a venom I did not know I possessed. You took everything from me, Jacob. You thought you could just walk away after all the lies. He ran a hand through his messy hair, frustration mingling with regret. I was young, we were kids, I didn't think it would come to this. But it did, didn't it? I stepped closer, the space between us shrinking. And now you'll face it. Chose your path and I'm here to show you the consequences. What do you want, Claire? He said, desperation creeping into his words. Oh, you'll know soon enough, I replied, turning to leave. His voice, rough with realization, called after me. Clara, wait, seriously, let's talk this out. I paused at the door, my hand resting on the cold metal handle. Talk? After everything, you think I want to negotiate with a traitor? A bitter laugh escaped my lips. You don't know how this works anymore. This isn't who you are, you're still my best friend. Best friend? I turned, fury igniting in my chest like a wildfire. You lost me the moment you chose popularity and lies over honesty. You think we can go back, that we can fix this? He looked shattered, the remnants of our past clashing violently with the present. What do you even want from me? I want justice, Jacob. I want you to feel the pain you caused me. I took a step toward him. And I want you to remember that it was your choice to burn bridges. Is that what this is for? Some twisted sense of justice? You think this will make you feel better? Yes, it will, I yelled, the words tearing out of me like the very fury I vowed to unleash. I don't expect you to understand, but you will understand the weight of what you did. I was just a girl trying to live and you ripped my heart out. Clara, please, he pleaded, his voice breaking. I paused, seeing a glimmer of the friend I once knew, a slight flicker of guilt in his eyes, but then it vanished, replaced by a hardened mask. I softly shook my head. Stop playing the victim, Jacob. I won't let you manipulate me into feeling sorry for you. You don't get to play the I'm sorry card now. You've had your chance and you blew it. Why are you doing this? He asked, pain shadowing his features. Because I need to take back what you took from me. I need to reclaim myself. This isn't just revenge, it's about reclaiming the girl I used to be. I can't change the past, Clara, you know that, but if you let me explain, I might be able to help you understand. His offer hung in the air like a threat, and hesitation clawed at my chest. Did I really want to hear him out? Did I want him crawling back into my life? But as I stared into his eyes, searching for even a trace of sincerity, I remembered the pain, the night spent crying myself to sleep while he reveled in his newfound glory, leaving me behind. I don't want explanations, Jacob. I want the truth, raw and unfiltered, nothing less. What if the truth hurts? He said softly, almost as if he regretted saying it. Then that's something you'll have to face. You created this mess. You'll clean it up. Silence enveloped us like a heavy blanket, and I could sense the shift in the air, a deep, cold current laden with unspoken words. You don't know what you're asking for. His voice barely escaped his lips. Try me. Fine, he surrendered, an exasperated sigh escaping him. But it's not going to help you. I peered through the dim light, noticing the flicker of determination in his eyes. Then let's hear it, I'm all ears. He shifted, gathering his thoughts as if he were sorting through the clutter of old memories. Remember Amanda? She told everyone what happened at the party and I thought we all agreed to keep it quiet. Nice try, I shot back, my heart pounding with anger. You let it slip, Jacob. You were the one who laughed it off, the one who made it a joke. I was scared, Clara. It didn't seem like a big deal at the time. It was a big deal to me, I replied sharply, my voice striking like a thunderbolt. You think making excuses will ease my pain. You think shrugging it off makes it okay. With sudden intensity, he stepped closer and I could almost feel his anger radiating off him, a tangible force. What do you want from me? Seriously, do you want me to grovel? Do you want me to beg for your forgiveness? Because I'll do it if it means you will stop. I felt a sharp pang in my chest. For a moment, I could see the boy I had once loved woven into the man standing before me, yet I refused to succumb to the nostalgia. Begging won't change anything, Jacob. You should have thought about that when you betrayed me. The distance between us felt electric, like the flicker of a storm igniting the air. Jacob opened his mouth to speak, but the words hung there unformed and heavy. I could see the gate of his defenses slowly falling, brick by brick, like a wall built from regret. I thought it would all blow over. I thought you would move on. I never meant for it to get this far, he confessed, his voice cracking. His vulnerability shocked me. I had not expected him to break down so readily. Move on? You think I'm just going to forget? I clenched my fists, feeling all my emotions building to a crescendo. Look, Clara, he said, his voice earnest and trembling, I know I messed up. I can't change what happened, but I want to help you. Can't we start over? Can't we at least try? Try what? I hissed, crossing my arms tighter. To pretend that our friendship meant nothing. To act like you didn't slash my heart into pieces. He took a step closer, urgency unfolding in his expression. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't know how to handle everything. Am I supposed to live my life haunted by what happened? My heart flickered with something I could not tell if it was hope or betrayal. You want a clean slate after the ashes you left? Yes, he pleaded. I want to make things right. I want to be your friend again. Just give me a chance. Tears stung my eyes, the truth of his words colliding violently against the reality of my wounds. What if I can't just forget the scars, Jacob? What if I can't ever forgive you? The silence that followed vibrated in the air like a waiting storm, every heartbeat echoing the unsteady battle raging inside me. Then I'll accept that, he said, finally breaking the silence, a somber acceptance in his eyes. But I just need you to understand, I never wanted this. I never wanted to hurt you. Well, you did, I whispered, both relieved and torn apart by his honesty. The buildings around us were haunting reminders of our shared past. I can't promise you anything, I'm just not that girl anymore. I just need you to give me a chance, he murmured. You even want to fix this? My heart pounded in my ears, because it feels like you just want to smooth over the consequences. I want to fix it. I want to be the old me again. You mean that much to me, he confessed, a brief flickering moment of sincerity. Too little too late, I retorted, trying to stall that flicker of hope. But I'm right here. It doesn't matter, you shattered everything, and now you expect me to just, let you back in? I was dumb, I let my insecurities and fears take over, he said, his urgency weighing against my heavy heart. But I swear I can show you I have changed. It took a lot to get this close to you, Jacob, I admitted, feeling everything I had bottled up threaten to overflow. What if I told you it took everything for me to show up here and face you? Why should that matter? You made your choice. A silence fell as we stood on the precipice of our former friendship, and I realized then that this confrontation was more than just a pivotal moment in my revenge. It was a crossroads of possibilities I had never imagined. In the fading light of that warehouse, amidst the crumbling walls and haunting memories, I felt the strings of my past and present intertwine, pulling me to a decision I was not ready to make. The storm within me raged on, but for the first time in a long while, the thought of resolution dangled just within my reach. The room was dimly lit, and the scent of damp earth seeped through the cracked window, a reminder of last night's downpour. I stood before the mirror, inspecting my reflection with a mix of determination and fear. My dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, exposing my face. My hazel eyes burned with a fire I couldn't ignore, the flicker of revenge illuminating my very core. It was the day of reckoning. I had spent weeks preparing for this moment, gathering evidence and constructing an elaborate web of deceit. My heart raced as I heard the rumble of an engine outside, a signal that my target was closer than ever. Clara, you can do this, I thought, though doubts clawed at my mind. Would he suspect me? Would he fight back? I pressed my palm against the cool surface of the window to calm my racing thoughts, but the image of William Thompson, the man who had betrayed me, only fueled my resolve. With a swift inhale, I collected my composure. It's time, I whispered to myself, channeling every ounce of anger I'd felt since he had shattered my trust. Moments later, I stood outside the local bar, the last place William would expect me to confront him. I scanned the area, the neon signs buzzing overhead illuminating the scene in garish colors. My stomach twisted as I spotted him through the grimy glass, leaning casually against the bar with a smug expression, laughing with his friends. A part of me wished I could just blend into the background, but I couldn't let that happen. Hey, Clara. A voice called out, yanking my attention to Sarah, my best friend and ally through this painful journey. You ready? You look tense. I am tense, Sarah, I admitted, trying to smile but failing miserably. This isn't exactly how I pictured things playing out. She placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. You're going to do great. The truth always finds a way to rise to the surface. Besides, you've got this plan. Just remember why you're doing this. The warmth of her touch filled me with a temporary sense of comfort, but the gravity of the situation remained. I paused, searching for the right words. I want him to understand how deep his betrayal cut. Then let's make sure he does, Sarah encouraged, her eyes narrowing with fierce loyalty. Remember your evidence. You have everything he needs to understand the consequences of his actions. I nodded, inhaling sharply as we approached the entrance. The familiar sounds of clinking glasses and raucous laughter spilled over us, welcoming us into the chaotic atmosphere. As I stepped inside, the air was thick with the smell of alcohol and sweat, memories of carefree nights drifting through my mind. But those memories felt like a different lifetime before the darkness William had cast upon me. Clara, his voice shot out like an arrow, slicing through the din of noise. I froze momentarily, my heart thudding in my chest as I locked eyes with William. He was drunk, laughter spilling from his lips, yet the sight of him had an unsettling effect on me. William, I said, forcing my voice to remain steady. We need to talk. His laughter faded into an expression of confusion, then irritation. Can't you see I'm busy, Clara? This isn't the time. He turned back to his friends, dismissing me as though I were a mere nuisance. But this was the moment I had waited for, the moment when I would have my say. I think you should make time, I replied, my words sharper than I intended. I stepped closer, my pulse quickening, my heart echoing in my ears. One of William's friends walked over, smirking. Oh look, the heartbroken girl has returned to beg for scraps. I shot him a glare, irritation bubbling to the surface. I'm not begging for anything. I have the truth on my side and I'm not afraid to share it. William sighed, his annoyance palpable. What are you talking about? I have nothing to say to you. Made your choice to walk away. I swallowed hard, the truth of my words pressing against my chest. You think it was easy. You think I walked away lightly. I leaned in, my voice low, pressing my advantage. You betrayed me, William, and today you will face the consequences. His eyes narrowed, growing wary. What are you talking about? Everything, I retorted, my heart racing. How you hid the truth, how you manipulated everyone around you, and how you treated me like I was some kind of disposable game. His friends glanced between us, their expressions shifting from amusement to confusion. What truth? William's voice dripped with feigned innocence. I smiled coldly, ready to unleash the evidence I had collected meticulously over weeks. You don't remember the time you sent that regretful message to Trina after breaking up with her, thinking I would never find out. You wanted to keep her around as a backup. His face contorted, a flicker of anger crossing his features. This is ridiculous, Clara. Is it? I took a breath, pushing through the growing tension. I have screenshot. I saved everything because I knew you wouldn't change. I always knew deep down. William's eyes darted to the group behind him, his friends now silent, gauging the situation. You think you can just throw around accusations? You're just bitter. I stepped even closer, my heart racing, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Bitter? I scoffed, raising an eyebrow. You think this is just about bitterness? I have proof of your lies, and I am going to share it with everyone who deserves to know the truth about you. He glared at me. You wouldn't, I chuckled, a bitter laugh that felt foreign on my tongue. Try me. In that moment there was a shift in the atmosphere, the air became heavy with tension. You're playing a dangerous game, Clara, he warned, his voice low and menacing. You have no idea what you're up against. Maybe not, I admitted, my voice steady. But I know enough to make you sweat. The crowd began to whisper, eyes darting toward us like moths to a flame. I can give them what they want, I continued, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. I can show them your true colors, let them know what kind of person you really are, a coward hiding behind other people's insecurities. Enough, he shouted, growing increasingly agitated. You're making a scene. Maybe that's the point, I shot back, emotions spilling from my heart. Maybe it's time you face the very people you've hurt. You think you can just walk away from your actions? No more, not anymore. His expression shifted, and I could see the flicker of doubt behind his bravado. Get out of my face. Not until everyone else sees who you really are, I said firmly. I felt emboldened, no longer the girl who had walked away in silence, but a woman filled with purpose. You don't deserve to hide behind your lies. You are going to stand here and face the consequences. Breathing heavily, I took my stand, heart racing for what felt like an eternity. But inside I was calm, a storm of emotions swirling as I awaited the outcome. Would he fold? Would he lash out? The moment felt suspended in time, and the onlookers around us leaned in, eager to witness the unraveling of the facade he had built. All right, Clara, he said finally, voice taut with defeat. What do you want? A triumphant feeling surged through me. I want you to admit to everyone what you did, apologize, and maybe even face some real consequences for once in your life. The room grew quiet, the echoes of laughter fading as people turned their attention to the two of us, the thrill of drama coursing through the air. No one will believe you. Believe me, they will. The silence lingered, my heart hammering as I prepared for whatever came next. In that moment, I realized that I had reached the point of no return, committed to making sure William Thompson understood the weight of his actions. And as the light flickered overhead, casting shadows on the walls, I braced myself to reclaim my voice, to reclaim my truth. No more hiding in the shadows, no more silence. This was my moment, and I was ready to take what was mine.